Hey YouTube, what's going on? I'm back again with another video. Today I'd like to do my full review for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2. Now I've had this for about a month now, and I gotta say, I really like this phone a lot. I mean, it's been very enjoyable experience that over the original Galaxy Fold, in some areas, but this is my third favorite phone. Number one is the Mi 11 Ultra. Number two, the Note 20 Ultra, and this is number three. So first, I want to get into all the things that I like about this device, and then I'll get into all the things that I don't like about the device. First is the design. Now, I really like the design, and I know you can't really see because I got this case on, but as you can see, the cameras are much bigger, and I'll show you the difference between that and the original. As you can see, the design is just totally different. And on the front, it's just obviously, you could tell the design is different because the front display is so much bigger. And also when you get into the inside, let me turn this phone on first. So you can see the outer display is 4.6 inches. But when you get to the inner display, oh, the phone's just turning on. Sorry for the delay. I'll just set that down for the moment. Show you the inside, both. And as you can see for the inside, you can see this big notch here up in the corner. And you can see on the Z Fold 2, you just got that little small camera cutout at the top. And also you should be able to tell that this is a bigger device. It's bigger. It's taller and it's wider and it has thinner bezels than that of the original Galaxy Fold. And the display is a little brighter. So right off the bat, I really like the design of the Z Fold 2. I really like it a lot. It's a nice design. All right, next is the build quality. Now, you're not going to really be able to see it because I have this case on it, but take my word for it, the build quality of this device is top notch. I mean, it's Gorilla Glass Victus on the front and the back. Really nice. It's made very solidly. It has some good weight to it. Now, if you really don't like heavy phones, you may not like the build quality, because this is like having two phones in your pocket. So it has some good weight to it, but I like the weight to it because it makes it feel a lot more premium to me. So I love the build quality. It's built almost like a tank. I mean, it feels very durable. It don't feel like if you drop it, it's going to shatter or anything like that. It doesn't feel like that at all to me. Excuse me. Now, I'm not saying go out there and, purposely drop it to test it. I mean, if you just got it like that, you could do that. I don't have money to throw away like that. And this wasn't given to me. I paid for this with my hard-earned money. So, but the build quality feels great. If you use it without a case, you're going to like the way it feels. But I'm going to tell you this. I suggest that if you do decide to get this device, that you put a case on it. Because without a case, this device is very slippery. Yesterday, because I was getting frustrated with like some of the cases I've gotten, that are similar to this, they just, I don't know, they just don't stay, like this front part don't stay nice and snug on the phone. It just kept sliding off and it was getting on my nerves. So yesterday I decided, you know what, I'm just not going to use a case. I'm just going to go out, go back to work, no case on the phone, and I'm on a chill. That wasn't a good idea. Now, I didn't drop the phone, but the phone is super slippery without a case, and I did not feel very comfortable taking it out of my pocket. Now, when I did, I took it out of my pocket very carefully. So my suggestion, either put a skin on the back to keep it, so you can have just a little bit more grip to it, or put a case on it. Now, these cases are not, this one is actually a good case. I don't have any issues with this case, but I had bought like, I think 5 cases. And this is the only one that I really like. Now, that's another one that I bought that's kind of like a leatherish type of back, but it won't stay secure. It just keeps, this top part just keeps sliding off. It's just annoying. So this is the only case right now I could use that actually stay. And I don't want to get certain other cases. I know there's other cases out there, but they're going to add way too much bulk. They're going to be more protective, but they're going to add way too much thickness and too much bulk. And this phone is already thick without even adding the case. So I don't want to add even more bulk to the device. So I'll just stay with this red case. I'm cool with it, until I find something else, or maybe I'll buy a couple of skins to put on the back if I want to really rock it without a case. So the build quality on this phone is really, really good. I like it a lot. Next thing I like is the always on display, of course. I don't have any notifications at the moment, but you can see your battery percentage. Your notifications will be down here. They'll be different colors depending on what the app is. And of course, you have your time, your date, and your day. And also, when you double click on the lock screen, you get more widgets that you can work with. So always on display is something that I definitely need on a device. It's not a gimmick to me. I need to always on display because I wake up in the middle of the night pretty much every night, and I have this on a wireless charger, and it's cool when I could just glance over and see the time. I can see my notifications, even though I ain't checking my notifications, but I could just, look and see the time. Now, if I have a text message, that's gonna be a distinctive icon that'll be separate from the rest of the notifications. So if somebody texts me, I'll see that. And if I feel like I need to check it, then I'll go ahead and check it. So Samsung still makes the best always on display, in my opinion. But there's others that's going to eventually, come up to their level. There's other ones that are out there that are good, but I still like Samsung's the best. So I love the always on display. Next thing is the Hinge. Now, the Hinge has been vastly improved on here from the original Fold. Now, as you can see here, it's bright and silver. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of like that this color, but this blends a lot better with the phone because I got an all black device. So this kind of blends in with the color of the overall phone. This stands out a little bit more because the phone, I think this one was, this one I think was black too, or no, silver. This is silver. So it actually matched too because it was silver and then it was silver for this. So this hinge is actually a little bigger. It protrudes a little more. This hinge is a little smaller, but this hinge is way, way better. Let me show you just real quick, give you one example. Now see how you could put the phone up like this? Now with this, the original Fold, you can't do that. See? And you see how kind of flimsy it is? How it moves like that? Like, I mean, you can set it up like this, but you can't really do much with it. It's just not that durable. I mean, not that it's not durable. It's just not that strong. It's kind of really loose. So the Hinge has been definitely improved. Like, you can't set it up like this. I mean, you could set it up like this and watch a movie, I guess, but it really don't compare to the Z Fold 2. Like, look, this thing is not moving. So that's a really great reason to upgrade from the original to this if you have this. Now, if you're just thinking about upgrading, like if you're thinking about trying foldable tech, this is the one you should get. Now, I'm not saying if you want the Z Fold 3 because you need water resistance, you need the S Pen. That'd be the only reason to upgrade to that device, honestly. But other than that, I would take this one. It's much cheaper than the Z Fold 3, and it's just as good. Like I said, the only real differences with this one and the third one is the S Pen capability and the water and dust resistance. That's pretty much it. Nothing else really improved. All right, so back to Z Fold 2. So the Hinge, I love the Hinge. To me, that's like one of the biggest reasons why you might want to consider upgrading that and the front display. All right, so that's the next thing we're going to talk about. The front display. Look at this thing. So much bigger than the original. Got to bring it back again. Huge difference. This is a big complaint that a lot of people had when this phone was released, is that, this one was released that it was just way too small. And you can see it's like night and day. I wish they would have did this the first time, but they didn't. As you can see from the front too, this is a taller and a little bit wider device. As you can see, it's just wider slightly, but it's definitely wider and a little bit taller. And you got a smaller camera cutout at the top. So I love this bigger outer display. And also when you say you want to text somebody, it's not, let me see if I can find something real quick. Now, when you go down here, now see, That's not bad. Now it is small, but it's doable. And you could, like you say, you could always just use the mic, or you could swipe. There's options. Like, I don't have really huge fingers, so for me, typing on here is not a big problem. Even though more than likely I'm not going to use it on the front, I'll just speak my text, or I'll just use my other phone, because keep in mind, this is not my main phone. This is like my secondary phone. So really, if I got to text somebody, I'm doing that on my Note 20 Ultra. Now, this is one of the reasons why this really couldn't be my daily driver, because honestly, I just need a regular size phone that's going to be perfect in every scenario, and my Note 20 is perfect in every scenario. When I want to use it. Like, for me, I like this front display, but in some instances it's just too narrow, and the inner display in some instances is just too big. So, just not to have that issue whatsoever, I would just rather just use a Note phone or just a regular candy bar style device, because it's going to be perfect for me in every scenario. But I love this as a secondary device, no doubt about it. Love it. So that outer display being bigger is definitely something that I like. Big improvement. All right, next, the improvement of the inner display. Now, I talked about this briefly a few minutes ago. It's wider, it's taller, and has thinner bezels, and the notch is gone. You just have that camera cutout at the top. Now, I wish the camera cutout was a little bit smaller and maybe pushed a little further over into the corner, but it's cool. It really don't bother me, honestly, when I'm watching content on it, so it's no big deal. But I do love the fact that the display is a little taller, a little wider, thinner bezels, and it's actually a little bit brighter. So I love the changes they made to the inner display. Next, the 120 hertz refresh rate. It adds an extra layer of smoothness, which I absolutely love. Especially say if you're on, let's say, go Facebook and you're swiping. I mean, it just makes everything super fast and snappy and smooth. I mean, if you really can't tell on here, trust me when I tell you, once you start using a display with 120 hertz, you're really not going to want to go back to 60 hertz. I can confirm that is true, but if you did, you would adjust to 60 hertz. It's not a big deal, because you're only getting 60 hertz on the front display and you're getting 120 hertz on the inner display. But it's super extra buttery smooth, and I love that when you're scrolling and going in and out of apps. All right, next, let's talk about the display. Now, I'm talking more so about the inner display. Now, both displays are really beautiful. The outer display is nice, and the inner display. The outer display is beautiful, and the inner display is beautiful. But I'm talking more so about the inner display, because this is where all the magic happens. This is where this phone turns into a small tablet. So you got a phone and a tablet in one, which I love that. Yeah, you got a 7.6 inch Quad HD Plus dynamic AMOLED display that's absolutely beautiful. Samsung, they make great displays. They have been for a very long time. This is no different. It's absolutely stunning. You're going to absolutely love the display on this device. Next, let's talk about the battery life. Now, with the battery, you're getting a 4,500 milliamp battery. Keep in mind that battery life is always going to be subjective depending on how you use your device. I can get a full day easily, no problem. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a gamer, and I'm not shooting a ton of videos on my phone, and I don't use the GPS all that much. So it's going to vary. Now, if you're just using it for regular daily activities, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all those other things you use it for, and watching YouTube videos and regular videos on your device and listening to Spotify, that's what I use my phone for, taking notes and things like that, reading my Bible. So I use it just for your average user, but my display is at 100% brightness, which most people are not going to have their phone that bright. Most people like their phone dim. I know, because I'm a train operator, so when I'm changing to go from one end of the train to the other, I see people with their phones, and some of them are so dim I don't even know how they can see anything. But everybody likes their display at different brightness. Most times I see people, their phone is very, very dim. So If you're the type of person you don't like your phone as bright as I do and you like it dim, you're going to get even better battery life than me. I'm 100%. That's just how I roll. I got my always on display on at its highest brightness. I'm using everything at max because that's just me. I'm using 120 hertz. I'm using all of that. So I'm getting I can get a full day easily. If I were to scale down all that stuff I just mentioned, I probably can get a day and a half. But I get a full day with no problem. Most days I'll end the day, I'll say with like 40, 42, 43%. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And I mostly use the inner display. Now, if you use the outer display more than use the inner display, you're going to get even more battery. Because when you use the inner display, you're going to use up way more pixels. You know, the screen is going to consume more energy. So if you find yourself using the outer display more, you're going to get even longer battery life. But for me, I'm all about when I want to watch content, which I do most times. I'm going to use the inner display. That's just me. So battery life on here is good. It's not awesome. It's not great, but it's really good. It's really good. Easy. A full day for me is about 17, 18 hours. That's a full day for me. So when it comes to battery life, good battery life on this device. Next, 25-watt fast charging. Now, this is definitely an improvement from the original Fold, which only gave you 15 watts fast charging, which it took you almost 3 hours to fully charge this phone from 0 to 100%. Now with 25-watt fast charging, you could do it in about an hour and 25 minutes, which is considerably faster than the original Fold. So I do like the fact that they upped it to 25 watts, even though I think it should have been 45 watts, especially, you know, because of the price of this phone when it was first released, $2,000. This should have had 45 watt or 50 watt fast wired charging without question. Next, let's talk about the dual stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos. They sound really good. Now, they're one of the best sounding speakers that I have with my phones. The best would be the the Redmi Note 11 Pro. Those are the best speakers I have on any of my smartphones. Then I would go with the Mi 11 Ultra. The V60, the LG V60 has great speakers. Of course, these has great speakers. My original Fold has great speakers. And I think my Mi 10 Pro 5G has great speakers as well. And that's pretty much it as far as speaker quality. But this is right up there. These speakers sound good. Let me let you listen to a little bit of this non-copyrighted music. So as you can hear, the speakers on here are very, very good. You're not going to have a problem with enjoying your content on this device. Now, when it comes to video, it looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You can see everything nice and clear. Now, I have this set for a different setting, a cropping setting. Now, that's not the original setting. Of course, you can, that's to fit the screen. But no, if I'm going to have something this big, I want the whole display to be used. Even if it cuts off some stuff, I don't care. I want to see this whole display be utilized. And as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. Crystal clear, sharp, bright, vibrant. It's beautiful. You will absolutely love the video experience on this device. No question about it. Excuse me. All right, next. Oh, and the next thing, the next thing I forgot to mention, you got your speaker grill here, and you got a speaker grill up here. So separate speaker grills, separate from the earpiece. Okay, the earpiece is on the front. So separate speakers for the dual stereo speakers. Now, I don't know why Samsung don't do this on their phones, especially the Ultra phones and stuff like that. They really need to make separate speaker grills as opposed to putting the top speaker in the earpiece. They should do it this way because it sounds so much better. And you get an equal distribution of sound. Just as loud as the top speaker is just as loud as the bottom speaker. So this is the way they should do it, honestly. So I really like that. These speakers are great. These speakers on here sound way better than the Note 20 Ultra. And I hate to say that, but that's just fact. They're much louder and they have better sound quality. All right, next let's talk about performance. Now you got the Snapdragon 865 Plus, got Android 12. This is going to get upgraded to Android 13 as well. Now, just last night, I received an update when it dealt with, is dealing with, what you call it, performance and stuff like that. So it seemed like this phone just got even faster. I mean, this thing is really, sorry, I'm going into the wrong thing. This thing is really smooth and pretty quick. I mean, this is why I say software updates are important, because you want to make sure that your phone stay optimized. You want to make sure that it gets it enhanced, performance. You always want to make sure it's running at its optimal level. You don't want it, like if you notice it's slowing down, you want to get that software update that's going to put it back to where it belongs. It's going to keep it running at its best. So I'm telling you right now, this thing is nice and fast and it's super smooth. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Here is great. I'll give it an A+ for performance. Next, let's talk about RAM management. Now you're getting 12 gigs of RAM. RAM management on Samsung phones for the most part, especially their premium devices. Now, I don't really mess with their budget devices or mid-range devices that much. I'm more of a flagship type of guy. But I will tell you this. The RAM management on this device is excellent. A+. No issues with it at all. The only thing that won't seem to stay open, and it's off and on, the only thing that kind of refreshes periodically, I would say YouTube. Now, for the most part, it'll stay where I leave it. Like if I'm listening to it in my car and I get out and I'm, going to my job and I'm there for like 5 hours and I come back and I don't use the phone. I go back to listening to YouTube and it'll still be where I left it. Most of the time it'll do that, but there are times when it'll totally just refresh. But that's pretty much the only app that does that. Everything else just stays open, and I like that. So RAM management's excellent. Next, let's talk about OneUI. Now, OneUI is my favorite skin on Android. Now, I have never had a phone with ColorOS, so I can't really talk about that. Now, I do like the customization of ColorOS. I would probably love it if eventually I'm gonna get my hands on a device that has ColorOS. But OneUI right now is my favorite. And one of the biggest reasons, is I love when you go into something, right? See how you could just bring everything down lower where you could easily reach it? Like, you don't realize how nice that is to be able to do that. Just to bring everything down where you could easily reach it. Like, that's why they call it OneUI. I love that. I really like that a lot. Like, I really wish more manufacturers would do that. Just bring everything down lower. Like, you don't have to be doing that, reaching and all that. Everything just comes down where you can easily reach it. I love that. So, besides that, now, another reason why I like OneUI, and I've always loved Samsung skin anyway, even though this is the best, the Samsung experience, I didn't really have any issues with that, even though people out there say they did. But OneUI is clearly the best skin they've ever put on top of Android. But I like all the features that you get with Samsung devices, like Samsung Pay, Samsung Pass, Secure Folder, Edge Lighting, Edge Panels, Samsung Decks, Link to Windows, Nearby Share, Screen Recording, Bixby Routine, Samsung Notes, One-Handed Mode, Floating Notifications, Swipe to Call or Text, Lift to Wake, Double Tap to Sleep, or Wake to Screen. These are just some things that you get when you get a Samsung device. Now, there's still other things that I didn't even mention, but I just love OneUI because it's feature packed, and I'm the type of guy that loves a device that's packed with features because it makes the phone more interesting, makes it more fun. And I just like to be able to say, well, I haven't used floating windows in a while. Let me use that. Or maybe I haven't used the, what do you call that? What do you call that when you put the two apps together? I forgot. Multi-window. Yeah, you can multitask on this too. You just grab something, swipe down, then you open this back up. These are the edge panels. Say I want to go into eBay. So I can take it right in there, and I could change the, I could dim it. Let me see. I know it's something else. Because I don't use this that much, honestly. Let me see. Yeah, you could, make it like this. Then you go in here. You could change sides. You can make it like this. So you got the two sides working at the same time. Multitasking on here is a lot of fun. You could change what side you use them on. Now, I love that. And you can make it, make this bigger, make this smaller. And of course, you can move this around. So multitasking, using the edge panels on the side here, I love those. I use these a lot. So I love OneUI. It's just my favorite UI. And then after that, I would say Oxygen OS. Even though I know now that OnePlus is now has moved to Color OS. So we'll see. Very interesting. All right, next, let's talk about Flex Mode. Now, Flex Mode, it's not set up for all. It's not set up for all, applications. But for the ones you can use it for, like I'll show you for like YouTube, if you want to fold it like this. Now you get to see this down here and that up there. Or say if you're typing, say you type in a text message, you could type down here while you got, the screen up there. You couldn't do this with the original fold. So Flex Mode is really cool. I like this. And then say if I wanted to watch content, let me give you another example. Now you could actually use this as a stand, as a built-in stand. So say if I want to go back into here, but okay, I'll start off. Okay, now say I want to use it as a stand. So all I do is open it up. There you go. Now I got a stand without actually needing an actual stand. But only thing it hurts is if you wanted to watch the big screen, you would actually need a case with a kickstand on the back. Or you could turn this around like this. You can use it this way too. And also you can take photos with the rear cameras by using this. Now, I'm not heavily into the camera, but you can do that as well. So I like Flex Mode. That's cool. That's a nice added thing they did because they made the Hinge so much better. And the last thing, the cameras. Now you got 3 12 megapixel cameras on the rear. You got the wide, ultra wide, telephoto. Of course, you got 2x optical zoom, 10x hybrid zoom, 10 megapixel on the 10 megapixel camera on the inside and on the outside. And they both, and all cameras. Now, this is important. All of these cameras shoot at 4K at 30 and 60 frames per second and 1080p at 30 frames. 1080p at 30 and 60 frames per second. All the cameras. Now, that's important. And I really appreciate Samsung for giving us that, giving us that option. That's great, especially for a phone that costs as much as this phone. And when it was first released, $2,000. So the fact that you could shoot, all the cameras at 4K at 30 and 60, that's big time. That's big time. I love that. All right, so let's talk about the cameras now. Honestly, the cameras on here are great as well. I think the Note 20's Ultra cameras are a little bit better, but these are very, very good. And it's just my opinion. Now, the video quality is good too. Now, I'll let you all check out the photo and video quality, and y'all let me know what you think of the photo and video quality. And then I'll get back with all the things that I don't like. All right, so let me get into all the things that I don't like. First thing is no frosted back for all the colors of this device. Now, I believe, now I don't know if this has 3 colors or just 2, but I know this is the black, and I know you also have the bronze, similar to that of the Note 20 Ultra. But the Note 20 Ultra, I mean, the bronze color like this that looks like the Note 20 Ultra, that's the only one that has a frosted back. Everything else has a glossy back. Now, I don't know why Samsung would only make one color with a frosted back. It makes no sense to me. So you come out with all the colors, put a frosted back on all the colors. And how about giving us red? Like, I don't understand why they can't give us red in a premium, for a premium device. Like, that's the one color they seem like they just don't want to give us. Like, is the color red that expensive where they can't put it on their phones? I don't get it, but that's just me. All right, next, let's talk about the reduction in internal storage. Now, this came with 256 gigs of internal storage, while the original Fold came with 512 gigs of internal storage. I have no idea why they reduced the storage. Makes no sense to me. Why would you take away internal storage when you know you're not giving us an expandable SD card support? It's just stupid. And still the same price. The original Fold's $2,000. This was $2,000. And you took away storage. So I definitely don't like that. Next thing, no expandable storage. No way to expand the storage. You're only giving me 256 and I can't even expand the storage. I don't like that at all. And that's a bad trend that Samsung now is in, where they removed SD card support from their phones. I don't like it at all. I'm going to call them out on it. I'm not one of those people that are afraid to call out Samsung when they screw up. If they don't want to send me a phone, that's fine. I know how to buy my own stuff. This is ridiculous. These phones, especially a phone this expensive, $2,000 plus tax, and I can't even get expandable storage. That's unacceptable. Next, once again, $2,000 device, no 8K recording. Now, I know that's not the biggest deal to everybody because most people are not going to even shoot in 8K because you don't have nothing to play it back on that's 8K capable. But $2,000, that's the point. $2,000 is the point. Okay, for that, this phone should have had everything. Next, no 5 times or 10 times optical zoom. It only has 2 times optical zoom, which is ridiculous. $2,000. It should have came with 5 times and 10 times optical zoom and at least 30 times hybrid zoom. It only comes with 10 times hybrid zoom. So that's a disappointment. Next, no case in the box. With the original Fold, you got a case in the box. Now, it wasn't the best case, but it still was a case nonetheless. But this phone, you get no case in the box. Next, no headphones or earbuds in the box. You got both of those with the original Fold. You get nothing with this. Next, you got a reduction in wireless charging speeds. With the original Fold, you got 15-watt wireless charging. With the Z Fold 2, you're only getting 11-watt wireless charging. Why would you reduce the wattage for the second model? Like, that makes no sense, and still charge the same price. I don't like that. Next, no headphone jack. I don't like that at all because I prefer a headphone jack. You get better sound quality through a wired connection, so I don't like that. I don't care if most companies are removing them for premium devices. I'm going to still complain about it because I don't like it. Next, no IR blaster. Now, again, that's something that Samsung used to put on their phones. I'm going to keep complaining about it because there's other companies out there that are using them. Xiaomi and also Huawei. They have them. Samsung, they could do that. You just keep taking away things and not putting nothing on the phone, and you keep charging them small money. For a $2,000 device, this should have had an IR blaster built in. And the last thing, the side-mounted fingerprint sensor. Now, I'm not saying it's bad now. It's mixed in with the power button. But for me, I would just have preferred an in-display fingerprint sensor, only because it seemed like when I'm using this side-mounted one, it's like I always got to hit it twice before it works. Like, that's so annoying. Like, when I hit my fingerprint sensor, I want it to come on the first time. See? A lot of times I got to hit it twice before it registers my finger. And I shouldn't have to be trying to make sure that I nail it perfectly. It should be sensitive and accurate enough to even the slightest fingerprint thing, it should read it. Even if they had to make it a little bit bigger or wider or something, I don't like it. I would have preferred just to press on the display and just open up the phone. So I don't like the side mounted fingerprint sensor. I just don't like it. Honestly, that's just me. So that was my full review of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2. I do like this phone a lot. Like I said, it's my third favorite phone. It's definitely a phone worth picking up if you want to get into the new foldable tech. And I think you can find it for refurbished. I've seen it for $900. You might can find it a little less if you get it pre-owned or open box. But it's going to be hovering around $1,000. But you can get it definitely less than $1,000. But if you buy it spanking brand new, you're going to be paying over $1,000. So just know that. So my advice, get it refurbished if you don't want to pay that much. And you'll be okay with it if you want to spend that kind of money on foldable tech, because this is really the future. Now, like I said, for me, I prefer a regular candy bar style device. Like this is something I could use every day in any circumstance, any situation. You know, the size of the display, the dimensions, the width, everything is perfect every time. But this, sometimes the outer display is just too narrow and the inner display is just too big. But this is going to be perfect for me in every scenario. And that's just me. Now, I'm only speaking for myself. Everybody feels differently about different things, but that's just my opinion. So that was my full review of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2. Definitely worth picking up if you're interested in the new tech, you know, the new foldable tech. Now, I know I didn't mention the crease because the crease is not a big deal for me. I don't even notice it half the time. I mean, really, I don't notice it at all, especially when I got the phone open and I'm looking at, you know, movies or whatever. I don't even notice it. And I don't care if I put my finger across and feel it. Like, that's irrelevant. I mean, it's going to have a crease because it can fold. Now, eventually the technology is going to get better where you won't see it at all. Like you might see it in direct sunlight, but honestly, it's not a big deal. Most of the time I'm using my phone indoors, so it's not a big deal. You're really not going to notice it unless you're trying to find it. Unless you're putting the phone on different angles, trying to see it. It's not an issue, honestly. It really isn't. So thank you very much for taking the time to view this content. I do appreciate it. Hope everybody out there is staying safe and staying well. And I will check you fine people out in the next one. Peace.